If you are feeling burnt out, a little resentment, or emotionally disconnected, you may suffer from what I like to call being the strong one itis. You're the one that always has to handle business. You're the one who everybody goes to when they need something. You are the one. You're everybody's rock. But what happens when something as simple as water continues to beat down on a rock? It starts wearing down. I mean, look at the Grand Canyon. At least that's what they say, how it was formed. So today we're unpacking why you feel like you need to be the strong one and what to do when you're tired. Welcome to the reset room. So let's unpack the reality of being the strong one. And one of the things I'm going to teach, tell, and hopefully guide you guys into is knowing how to be soft and strong. So we're not going to take the strength away, but we're going to add some softness to balance it out so you don't find yourself burnt out in 2025. So the thing with being a strong one, it could be very isolating because people will assume you have all your ish together and you don't need help. For many years, I operated that way for several reasons. Because I felt like the only person that I really could depend on was me. And we're talking outside of my husband. And one of the things that really made me realize that was, with my adoption of the twins. So my grandmother and my great grandmother is no longer here to be that additional support system like I had with my older son. And my sister lives in a whole other state. So now free time means I have a doctor's appointment and either my husband takes off depending on what's going on, or I have to call like one of my younger cousins to babysit, albeit not free. Okay. So people just assume that I got it. I'm good. And sometimes you just need a break from being the one that has everything all together. But people don't look at it like that because you're the one that always seem to have it together. You don't need breaks. You just have this unlimited supply of patience and ability and strength to just go, go, and go. That's not always the truth. But because you've always presented, at least me, I'm guilty, always presented yourself in a way like, yeah, I'm the strong one, I got it. People will assume you don't need help. So that's one. It's very isolating. Number two, you do feel the pressure to keep it together, even when you're struggling. So, kind of using the example of being tired, now at 48, I have twin 4-year-olds, which is way different than parenting in my 20s. When my son was 4, I was 24. And now at 48, I have twin 4-year-olds. And I do feel that pressure to keep it together, even when I'm tired. Like, okay, Valencia, drink some coffee, do a 5-hour, do something to get your energy back because you really can't afford to have low energy, if that makes sense. So when I get those text messages or if somebody needs me, I feel that pressure of, I'm already tired. I already got this X, Y, and Z going on. And I have these twins. And now somebody wants me to add something else to my plate. And a lot of times you're struggling looking like you got it all together. So why not put something else on you? So that's two, is that, you feel that pressure to keep it all together. And number three, this is one of the most important in this unpacking the reality of being the strong one. You minimize your own needs because you feel like other people need more. So when you start to feel some kind of way because you're the strong one, almost feel guilty because you're like, other people need more. They need more of me. So let me put my needs to the side. Let me put this to the side and that to the side because somebody else needs me more than I need me. You hear how crazy that sounds, but you guys might be checking off a list like, yeah, that sounds like me or sounded like me, because what we're doing in 2025, we're not only going to learn better, but we're going to actually do better. And sometimes to go from learning to doing, there's that uncomfortability in between because you're changing behaviors that do not serve you. And I'm going to tell you how you know if this is affecting you or how it may affect you. You get burnt out. And burnt out for me looks like I get sick. Like when I go to where I can't go anymore and I'm still trying to push myself to continue to go, I'm going to get sick. And this is coming from somebody that has like a great immune system. I take hella vitamins. Like I make sure my immune system and everything is like on 10 because I don't want my husband bringing germs from work or the girls bringing me germs or none of that. I have to stay well because guess what? If I don't function, nothing else around me functions. So when you get burnt out to where you like, I'm sick of this, I'm sick of that, I'm sick of you, sick of me, that burnt out, it shows up, it shows up in a way of you're constantly showing up for others, or not that it shows up, but let me make this make sense. You're constantly showing up for others while you're running on empty. And if you have a car or anything that needs gas, you cannot go anywhere if your tank is on empty or your tank starts saying, you got 33 miles left, you got however many miles left. And then after a while of you running on empty, it'll just say low fuel. Then you're scrambling and struggling, trying to find a gas station so you don't be on side the road. So that's burnout, right? That's burnout. Perfect example. Another way this affects you is resentment. You start feeling unappreciated and unsupported. And you start resenting all the people that need you. And this could come out in different ways. It could come out with you having little to no patience. It could come out, in how it affects your mood and the way you deal with people. And there's this song, and I'm telling you guys, like there was a period that I really kind of went through this when my no wasn't as strong as it should have been in this season of what I'm not going to do. There's a song by a girl named Erica Mason, and it's called Unappreciated. And when I ran across that song, literally, I was in the car driving and I just started crying because it summed up exactly how I felt. I felt like I was doing everything for everybody else. We're not talking about my general wife, mom duties. We're not talking about that. We're talking about all the extra you do for everybody else. And you start feeling like, dang, ain't nobody there for me. I'm not appreciated. I'm not supported. And you start to resent those people. Number 3 is emotional disconnection. Now, this is something I don't want to say I battle with, but I was not raised to really show vulnerability. And I think most women, especially Black women, and I say that because I am a Black woman. So that's who I speak for, this Black woman in particular. But a lot of times we're taught to be strong and kind of suck it up. My dad was military, so there was no falling and crying. There was falling and getting up. So I learned at a very early age not to express vulnerability. Like even saying the word, I have a hard time with it because it leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I was a whole grown, very grown woman before I learned that it was okay to do that. But that emotional disconnection when you're struggling to express vulnerability, because you are expected to be the rock, and the person everybody can lean on and maybe not emotionally dump, but emotionally dump. Because you're it. You're that girl that is there for everybody. In the meantime, you're not there for yourself. Now, let's talk about now we got the description out the way. You could identify if this is you, if it's a problem, if you are becoming this person. So now we're going to talk about how to lighten your load. And I'm not going to sit up here and tell you that you're not going to feel pangs of guilt or being uncomfortable, not being there for other people. I'm not going to tell you that. However, you have to change. And I'm going to tell you why. If you look at all the women, the majority of the women in your life that you consider, or men, but I'm a woman, so I'm talking what I know. So if you look at the women in your life that you consider to be strong women and look at, you see when that burnout happens because their health starts getting affected because they've been so busy taking care of other people. Now they're battling health issues. And I've seen it. I've seen it with women very close to me that I've seen be strong and take care of everybody else. And then at the end of the day, when their health is declining, they're tired. And who's there to help take care of them? And we all know that person. Think of your strong mothers, your strong grandmothers, your strong aunts. And then not even towards the end of their life, because they may not be that old, but you'll see as they get older, their health is declining. And who's really there to be the rock for them when they're having to go through chemo or when they having to take shots or having hella doctor's appointments or feeling under the weather. So if a perfect example for me with that is my grandmother. And so I saw her be there for everybody else. Like I saw it, witness it. It made me angry because I know when her health was started suffering, she still was trying to take care of everybody else. And as much as I admired her for everything she did and who she was, I saw it and I'm like, I cannot be that person. Everybody always said, how my grandmother was so nice and sweet and there for everybody else. And I also saw her start to suffer because of that. So I would rather people say Valencia or Val, as people that know me call me, is, oh, she's this way or that way or that way. And I'm still good and healthy because I've learned my nose. So that brings us to the first point in lightening your load. Give yourself permission to not be the strong one. It's okay to admit when you need help. So I had to learn this, and my husband really taught me this because I would try to handle everything and not ask him to help me with anything in regards to the house. And when he started coming home after working however many hella hours and helping me around the house, whether it's unloading the dishwasher or whatever, I used to get offended and tell him, don't do that because that's my job and this, and this, when I needed it. So a lot of times we're fighting against the people that's closest to us that's actually trying to help. So not only admit when you need help, but accept the offering of help with a simple thank you. Number 2, find spaces where you can be vulnerable. whether it's a therapist, your bestie, and I'm talking about that real bestie that commit a crime, hide the body bestie, or your journal. I'm one of those people, I go to journaling first. And you know how they had that movie with the burn book in there. Make your own burn book or your own burn page. That way you could get everything that you've been holding back out of your head and your heart and put it on paper. And don't worry about your penmanship. Don't worry about your grammar. Get it out of your head. And you could either keep it or you could pull that page out and literally burn it. But you don't want to hold it in. You need to be vulnerable to somebody, even if that somebody is yourself, by writing it. 3, set up boundaries with what you allow. You don't have to be available to everybody all the time. You don't have to answer that text message. The only do or die text message is the one that say, I'm on side the road. Can you come get me? Other than that, there's no such thing. I don't have to be available to everybody. Have your select few. Use that do not disturb function on your phone. And have certain people, like with my do not disturb, the only people that could break through that is my husband and my son and my cousin if she's watching the twins. That's it. So you have to decide, guess what? It's not my job to be there for everybody all the time. Physically, I'm one person. Mentally, I'm one person. You're not Captain Save the World. 4, recognize that strength includes rest. Rest does not necessarily mean sleep. Rest could mean you just laying on a couch, Netflix or whoever binge watching. Rest can be laying outside on a blanket. I don't know what rest is for you. And I'm explaining it because some people sometimes equate rest with sleep. Yes, you do need sleep, but as you get older, your sleep is a little weird. And if you notice, sometimes you get hella sleep and still wake up and feel tired, like you never been asleep. So that shows you that rest and sleep they're cousins. They're not the same person. So do what you need to feel rested. Rested could be laying in a bed, looking at your ceiling, listening to music. You'll know when you're rested. Being strong doesn't mean carrying the weight of the world alone. It means knowing you could carry some weight, other weight you don't have to carry, and knowing when to set it down or give it to somebody else. That's what it means to be strong. Now, I did say I was going to tell you guys about being soft and strong because that's where I'm at in my life. Because I have learned, or I'm learning how ask for help, how to be strong in my nose without guilt, how to set boundaries and use that do not disturb. And it is a process to learn that. I'm learning how to be me and to choose me. I'm learning to explore who I am every day because every day you're getting more mature or older time-wise, or you've learned something yesterday that you could apply today. You are changing. So you start letting the string go, not to where you're weak, but just where you feel like you can let some of it go. So you could pick up that inner little girl in you, that inner soft side in you, let them meet and be friends without feeling one way too much or the other way too much. And know that it's okay. Are you burning yourself out? Are you dealing with one of these things? Are you the strong one? Or do you happen to know who the strong one is? So with that being said, check on your strong friends. See you next time.